All right, thanks for joining Smart Moose Radio. We're ready to kick off. Building a Web3 impact ecosystem.
All right. Hope you guys hear me okay, right?
Yep,
Excellent.
5 by 5. All right, David. So we've got a lot of jargon that we go through, a lot of words that we use in this industry that change really quickly. Why don't we start off? Because we talk about building a Web3 ecosystem, right? And then an impact ecosystem. So let's break it down for the audience and tell them what is Web3.
Gosh, yeah, I guess you got to go back to the history. You got to start with what Web 1, right? What was Web 1? That was like, pre 1999, and you're looking at like early to mid 90s, where web content and websites, it was all just like read only type of stuff, right? Blogs and information. There wasn't really many places at all to like log in. There weren't membership type of websites. It was just, info, just kind of a straightforward information. And obviously, Web 2 starts coming around. That started to kind of define like this new type of way that people would interact with the internet, where they would actually, create membership accounts and create profiles on social media and, be more, I guess, interactive. And obviously during Web 2, the whole balance of the network participation got really out of whack over time, where the Web 2 giants, Apple, Google, Facebook, Twitter, just all these Microsoft, everything, kind of created this dynamic where they forced almost everybody to kind of go through their system in some form or fashion to kind of access the most important applications that people use on a daily basis. So in that process, the whole like value sharing got so out of whack where basically the investors of Web 2 and the builders were made all the money, like 98+%, right? And then creators and users, would struggle because they're just like paying everyone else and they're trying to kind of create their own presence in the process, but they're, competing against multi-billion-dollar conglomerates. So Web3, powered by blockchain, enabled by blockchain, sets this new standard, this new kind of philosophy. It's obviously more beautiful, better balanced, and a better alignment with network participants, where all those groups, like the users, the creators, the builders, and the investors, it's more equal. It's a more balanced playing field across the board. And it's refreshing, right? And I know it takes a moment to kind of grasp this explanation here, but once you do, you get it. People have been using the internet for years or even decades. They understand this. And yeah, that's where SmartMoose plays. I mean, that's the playground of SmartMoose is kind of this multi-year path, this yellow brick road towards Web3. And it's going to take several years, right? This is not an overnight thing, but we're seeing companies starting to build the pieces, the game pieces, the foundation, the technology, all that stuff to prepare for this Web3 experience. And a lot of the really important aspects of it is what SmartMoose is really focusing on. So I'll stop there and let someone else talk.
I'll jump in. First of all, we jumped right into the business end of the pool. But let's just take a step back and say thanks for joining us. This is a little presentation brought forward by SmartMoose.com, a brand new Web3 powered marketplace that is bringing forward a symphony of curated drops, starting off with their Alpha Moose collection that is dropping on September 20th. So it's great that we're all gathered here today. We have some of the founders with us from SmartMoose. So we're going to just do a little, I'll say, maybe not in a too deep of a dive, but we're going to do kind of a quick cross-section across what we think is a powerful ecosystem as it relates to impact and Web3 and SmartMoose as a whole. David, I love your enthusiasm and your voice. It's so infectious. I just love it. I could just listen to it all day. I didn't want you to stop. I was like, no, please keep going. Like you put these thoughts together so well, and you've really just brought us right through the sequence of this is what we've been going through for the last, 3 decades or so. And now we're moving into a space where instead of one company or a series of huge companies being the storehouse of all of our data, right, of all of our transactions, that we can actually decentralize that and have that storage done in a decentralized network. And if we're talking about Ethereum, we're talking about something like 11,000 plus different points of verification on this ledger. And on the simple thing of being on a ledger, it gives us an opportunity to start transacting cultural goods, but adding in economic layers into the design and into the tools and into the release. And some of those basic things being like having secondary royalties embedded in such a way that even after the first sale, where you're able to obviously make that money from the first sale, that even at the second sale, third sale, all that secondary sales, that you're able to actually still make a make a royalty from that. So those kind of like evolutions are certainly staggering, especially when you start thinking about what does that look like when a creative team or an artist start being able to gather royalties from the work that they put forward, which they've never been able to do, right? How many centuries, like maybe some super distant past, there might be some examples of that. But generally speaking, that is an unheard of thing and a great thing that I think they deserve, right? How many different people have royalties on their IP, right? And that is a way for them to continue to be able to make more and more money, or at least to be able to make some kind of revenue into the later part of their career. So it's kind of crazy for an artist to only be able to make money on the primary sale. Same thing for other types of creators and other types of businesses that are starting to leverage NFTs to weave experiences together, or to bring incredible artwork, or just archival cultural work. There's so many different uses for the blockchain, but maybe we should peel back some of the layers on the security aspect. We all know there's so many scammers, and I think it's safe to say that one very important area for impact ecosystem to evolve in Web3 is a layers of safety. So maybe David or Sophia, if you want to jump in, or Nick, if you want to jump in, just talk a little bit about some of the security. Like what do you guys think about it? How is it addressed? I know it's actually a large factor, a large driver in the development for it. So yeah, just bring us down that path of security and the stance
I'll say
yeah.
a couple words, and maybe Nick could follow up with some stuff I missed. But what comes to mind when you're saying that is, like, as we're on this journey towards Web3, there's one thing that really hasn't advanced as much as I think a lot of people expected over the past few years, which is, digital wallet management, right? Getting to a point where, it's as easy as using your Gmail account or making a phone call, something like super simple. And, there's still pitfalls, there's still scams out there that happen all the time, where the people behind them that are, purposely trying to screw people over are taking advantage of that confusion, the management of blockchain functions or digital assets or wallets or something. So in the journey to Web3, it's like you still have to be careful, right? But one of the products, I guess, from SmartMoose, one of our, flagship software products, is our security technology, which prevents theft, and it prevents pirating. And in that scenario where people are, would lose an asset, like a really important asset, as they're building their foundation for Web3, whatever it is, whether it's art or maybe even it's something like a patent or, important IP or something, our technology would come into play. And the way we designed it and built it, it's so strong and it's bulletproof that I think it's critical. It really is, and it will be in many situations in the Web3 environment. Yeah, but I'm going to stop there. There was something else I wanted to say about Web2, but yeah, Nick, if you wanted to jump in and say a few words along those lines.
Yeah, so thanks for that, David. So as you know, one of my biggest roles within the whole SmartMoose thing is security. Not only security for our internal systems and the security for everybody that is a part of SmartMoose, it's security. It's basically education on this thing we call security. The SmartMoose technology is what's called DDI. So it's basically the DNA of your NFT. So your NFT is no longer just a picture of a weird monkey or a horse wearing a crown or a moose, in outer space or something like that. It is now a quote unquote living thing with a very, 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 very distinct and unique fingerprint on it. So if somebody comes and says, hey, you know that picture of the moose with the antlers and he's firing a gun into outer space? That's my moose. No, you stole it from me. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. So that's always one of the biggest things that's happening right now in this ecosphere we call Web3. Our software will go ahead and take that back and forth out of the situation, because you drop it in our little verifier, and it'll say, yeah, this is an NFT. It was sold on such and such a date to a certain wallet, blah, 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 blah. So it goes ahead and it gives you all the information you could ever need, want, and or desire to know about that particular NFT. So that's, something that's humongous. I mean, it's something that we've been needing for quite some time. It shows the actual provenance of the NFT. It shows who bought it, when, where, how, and why. So it takes all that secondary judder out. But the real thing that we have to do here, besides going ahead and saying, yes, we've got this incredible layer of security, is we have to remind everybody that even though the fortress is very, very, very solid, there's cracks in every fortress. And the way that we as SmartMoose will go ahead and help educate you, the consumer, on how to protect yourself more, is we'll go over a couple of very common security measures, like make sure when you open up your wallet, don't open it up with a common Gmail that you use every day, because if you do, that's going to make you more of a target to be hacked. Make sure that when you open up your crypto accounts, boys and girls and everybody else, that you go ahead and use a very distinct email. Don't announce it. Don't say, this is my crypto email at gmail.com or anything like that, but call it after, an idol that you've had in your life. Call it after something that is obvious to you, but not obvious to anybody else besides, like your closest family members and stuff like that. That's one of the best ways to go ahead and start with your security. The second way to start with your security is to go ahead and make sure that you use a password that you're not using anywhere else. So yeah, everybody's got 14,000 passwords these days, but one more is not going to break. Trust me. I've been in this business for 21 years. I have built over 3,000 servers. I have built many, many networks. I have so many passwords lodged in my head. It's astonishing. One more, it hasn't killed me yet, and I've lived 50 years on this planet. So
yep.
we're doing well here. And then the very last thing that I'm going to go ahead and impart to everybody here is the fact that somebody is going to always try to impersonate somebody else. If it doesn't look right, if it doesn't sound right, if it's not looking like a typical conversation that you would have with a person, guess what? It's a scam. Do not click links. Do not talk to him. Don't give him your secret phrases. Don't do anything.